In National 9 News tonight, a no-confidence move against the Arnold government. 5 people killed in a head-on smash on the Hume Highway. And so far, it's third time lucky along the Gawler River.
Good evening. The Arnold government is fighting for survival tonight as the opposition hammers home the attack over the State Bank disaster. Opposition leader Dean Brown is urging the Speaker, Norm Peterson, to send the Labor Party to an early election.
Public anger over the State Bank fiasco reached boiling point with yesterday's release of the Royal Commission's first report. It's put the government under enormous pressure, and it now remains in office solely through the support of Speaker Norm Peterson, who holds the balance of power. Early today, the Liberals revealed that in Parliament they'd be pushing a vote of no confidence. This morning, Norm Peterson was feeling the pressure.
You're impeding me as the Speaker of the House carrying out my duties. Now, if you don't get out the way, you'll be in trouble. Would you mind stepping out of the way?
On the way back to Parliament, his support for the government wasn't so strong.
How do I know what's going to happen this afternoon? Do you know? Well, I don't know.
Putting the no confidence motion, the Liberals say John Bannon misled Parliament over the State Bank. Once was in August 1990 when he said, "I can assure the House there are no fundamental concerns there whatsoever." The Commission found Bannon knew 3 months before that there were bad loans of nearly $500 million. Then again in December 1990, Bannon told Parliament, "I am satisfied the bank is conducting its financial affairs in the appropriate way, and I have no information to the contrary."
And remember, it was only 2 months later that the whole fiasco blew open.
But the Liberals want blood. They want the entire government to pay for the disaster.
In other words, the Premier isn't prepared to be accountable. When is he going to be prepared to stand up and be answerable to the people of South Australia? When is he going to be prepared to put his job and the jobs of his ministers on the line?
But the government is hoping to be saved by 2 reports yet to be released by the Commissioner.
The government embarked on the Royal Commission to find answers and to see blame directed where it should go. And that process is underway and still underway.
There's no doubt Norm Peterson is tonight a worried man. He has the future of the Labor government in his hands. At no time since the State Bank Royal Commission, since the State Bank disaster was first announced, has this government been under such intense pressure. The debate's been going on for the past 4 hours. It's in for a marathon sitting, and we know now that it won't be ending until midnight.
Tom, can we realistically expect Norm Peterson to bring the Arnold government to its knees and force an early election?
Well, he went into the Parliament today with an open mind. He said he was prepared to listen to what the opposition had to say, and then he would be making his decision after that.
On the evidence that's been presented so far in Parliament, do you think that Peterson can be convinced?
Well, it's hard to say at this stage. So far there's been 4 speakers from the opposition, but I have to say that there doesn't seem to be anything in their arguments so far that would convince Norm Peterson to throw this government out. We'll be keeping you up to date during the evening if there are some developments. Meanwhile, it's back to the studio.
Thanks, Tom. Joining us now, former Premier John Bannon. Mr. Bannon, you have not yet spoken in today's debate, as I understand it. What are you going to say, in essence, when you do?
Well, because it's a parliamentary debate and there seems to be considerable concentration on the questions that were raised in Parliament and the responses given to them, I intend just to deal with some of those issues. The contention being, of course, that Parliament was misled. Now, not only do I reject that completely, but I guess if there's a complaint about being misled, I'd be one of the first to make it, because a lot of the information I was supplied with was subsequently proved to be either wrong or seriously flawed.
But you then were passing information onto Parliament which was wrong or seriously flawed. Wasn't Parliament then really being misled?
Well, indirectly, but of course a member's responsibility relates to honestly obtaining what is appropriate information. Of course, if it's subsequently found to be wrong, then it's corrected, and indeed that happened.
It was suggested by the Advertiser this morning that the government is morally obliged to resign. I suggest quite a few people might agree.
I think it's pretty unreasonable for the Advertiser to translate its general campaign against the government to try and change the government in this state and use this as a reason for doing so. The fact is that the Royal Commission's report, firstly, is not a judgment, as the advertiser says. Secondly, does not inculpate the government. It certainly does direct some strictures against me, and I've taken that responsibility and I've resigned.
After the verbal violence of the past couple of days, are you tempted to give it all away?
Well, it hasn't been a pleasant time, but politics is not a smooth occupation or a very easy ride for anyone. I must say I was particularly devastated by the sort of language the Commission used, and didn't expect that kind of harsh judgment to be made in the report, but I've got to wear it, and I will.
Has there been any suggestion on the home front that it might be an idea to give it away?
Well, I guess, yes, my family would probably be very keen to see me out of the hurly-burly of politics, because it is, in that sense, very unrewarding and stressful, but you know, we've got public duty too. I'll obviously have to take stock of the situation in the light of the final reports that are made on this matter and other factors as well.
Mr. Bannon, thanks very much.
Thanks, Kevin.
There's been another horrifying smash on a notorious section of the Hume Highway in New South Wales, claiming the lives of 5 Victorians. 2 others are in hospital critically injured after a head-on collision on a single-lane stretch of the road.
It was a head-on crash with tragic consequences. A Ford Capri and Toyota sedan travelling at high speed, colliding near a slight bend. 3 people thrown out on impact.
Bodies everywhere and a lot of smoke from the engines of the cars on both sides of the road.
Killed instantly, the Ford Capri's 2 elderly occupants and a man in his 20s, a passenger in the Toyota. 2 other young men from the Toyota suffering head and chest injuries later died in Gundagai Hospital. Both cars had Victorian registration plates. Light rain and slippery conditions are thought to have contributed to the crash. But with no skid marks, concerns too one driver may not have realised he was travelling on a single-lane highway.
Offending vehicles going north, he would have come off a dual highway about a kilometre and a half back.
The Hume Highway near Gundagai has been the scene of 2 other horrific crashes in recent weeks, one involving a bus which claimed 2 lives. Locals believe it's a tragedy being repeated far too often.
I think it's time something should be done. This is the 3rd accident in 4 weeks, and there's now 10 bodies.
The 2 men injured in today's crash remain in a critical condition. The state's road toll now stands at 583, 17 fewer than for the same period last year. Sharon Godella, National 9 News.
A fresh search by investigators into the Rihanna Barreau disappearance has again found nothing. Detectives will now concentrate on local schools in their hunt for clues, but it appears the trail is growing colder by the day.
The search for clues returned to the Onkaparinga estuary today after reports from locals of an unusual smell pervading the area. Police dogs and major crime squad detectives scoured bushland, and at one stage it appeared their efforts had been finally rewarded. The area has been the subject of several sweeps. Last week, Star Force officers examined derelict buildings and a well barely 200 metres from today's site. But a thorough check lasting more than an hour ultimately turned up nothing. Meanwhile, next week, police intend to shift the focus of the investigation to local schools in a bid to learn more information about the white Tirana seen the day Rihanna disappeared.
We will be looking for the assistance of principals of schools to have them speak to the students with the purpose of trying to have that 14-year-old girl seen in company or with the driver of the Victorian Tirana in David Terrace to make herself known to us.
Detectives say it's one of their few remaining avenues of inquiry and concede that the momentum the investigation was gathering last week has largely dissipated. Paul Murphy, National 9 News.
The inquest into the murder of Assistant Federal Police Commissioner Colin Winchester has reopened in Canberra. New information has come to light. It links a major suspect and the murder weapon.
It's now almost 4 years since the killing of Colin Winchester, a seemingly professional execution as the Deputy Commissioner pulled into the driveway of his suburban Canberra home. The first coronial inquiry was inconclusive. Now the police are trying again, today attempting to link a key suspect, retired public servant David Eastman, to the purchase of the rifle used to kill Mr. Winchester. The policeman's widow and other family members arrived at court today to hear witness Raymond Webb say he saw Mr. Eastman at a local gun dealer's home 10 days before the Winchester killing. Police long ago determined that the murder weapon, a Ruger .22 caliber rifle, was sold by the now deceased dealer to an unknown man just 24 hours before the murder. Mr. Webb said nothing until recently because Eastman seemed like a violent person. His eyes had a hard look, and I was worried about my family. Asked if he thought Mr. Eastman was the murderer, Mr. Webb replied, "I don't know. I didn't see him buy the rifle. It could be. All I know is he's a violent person." Mr. Eastman didn't appear today. The hearing has been adjourned for 1 week. Who killed Colin Winchester and why remains this city's greatest mystery. Suspicions about the involvement of organised crime and drug traffickers continue to be raised. It's hoped that this new inquiry will answer some of those questions. Peter Harvey, Canberra.
Irate Hillbank residents are blaming their council for the third round of floodwaters to hit their homes in as many weeks. In the latest deluge, several homes were damaged. Owners say their heartbreak could have been avoided.
Late yesterday, residents watched on helplessly and in disbelief as a wall of water raced through Cosmina Crescent. According to homeowners, the culprit is an adjacent housing development. They claim earthworks have interfered with the natural water flow, directing it to a drain unable to cope with a heavy downpour like yesterday's.
The water was just too quick. Once it blocked the drain up, there was nothing much we could do but sandbag, but it was too late for that anyway.
In the past 3 weeks, residents here have twice contended with flooding. Previously, they'd kept the water at bay and had asked the council to fix the problem. Nothing was done, and yesterday it was a case of third time unlucky as 3 homes went under. Residents are sure this damage could have been avoided if the council had listened to their earlier complaints. Today, the council did move to fix the problem, but for some it was just not enough.
Who cares? It's too late. I've lost just about everything.
Meanwhile, at 2 wells, state emergency service crews were on alert as the rain-swollen Gawler River threatened to again burst its banks. Anxious locals moved quickly to protect their homes, last month's flooding still fresh in their minds. But river levels failed to reach the expected peak, the danger passing by early afternoon. Astrid National 9 News.
When we come back, news that more and more consumers are having to fight for their rights.
And police look for pranksters after these UFO sightings in Sydney overnight. Thieves operating a credit card scam have stolen more than $200,000 worth of goods from Adelaide businesses. Detectives say as many as 10 people could be involved in the gang, which has crossed the border after working through Victoria.
The credit card scam came to light several weeks ago when a man was arrested by Darlington police. Detectives say credit card information is being obtained by the thieves who then order goods over the phone.
I'm not aware of the full extent of the scam as yet, but we're looking at least 5 to 10 people and possibly quite a few more.
Detective Chief Inspector Milton Clark wants traders to take better care when they destroy carbon copies of paperwork. He also wants us to check accounts to ensure we're not billed for goods we haven't bought, to take more care when we give credit card information over the phone and not to use credit cards for payment in brothels or escort agencies. And the Commissioner for Consumer Affairs, Mary Beasley, released her department's annual report today. The department's received nearly 50,000 more phone calls than the previous year, mostly from people wanting help when purchasing or complaining about their goods or services. Consumer Affairs has also banned a range of products during the year. The latest is this toy phone, which the department wants stores to withdraw voluntarily because it could deafen a child. A number of guns have also been banned because of the danger to children and adults caught in the firing line. Ray McGee, National 9 News.
The strange lights in the sky caused mild panic in the Sydney Hills district last night. Police stations received dozens of calls from people who were sure they'd seen a flying saucer. But it turns out the visitors were from terra firma all along, the work of a prankster. They were makeshift hot air balloons made from a garbage bag, a wire frame and a flare. Police are keen to talk to the person or persons responsible.
Princess Diana has delivered an emotional appeal to parents to love and hug their children to keep them away from drugs. And in a timely speech, she insisted that showing affection to children was essential in marriages that were breaking up.
This was a highly personal message from Diana, opening a European drug conference. She said love can save children from drugs after marriages fail.
If the immediate family breaks up, the problems created can still be resolved.
Herself the product of a broken home and with her own marriage adrift, the princess offered her recipe for bringing the children through.
Hugging has no harmful side effects. If we all play our part in making our children feel valued, the result will be tremendous.
Diana's close relationship with her two sons is well known, as is her contempt for traditional British upper-class child raising.
There are potential huggers in every household.
That comment seen by some as a slighting reference to Charles. Diana's concern over drug abuse is genuine, an outgrowth of her involvement with AIDS charities. She ended with an appeal to the media.
Like it or not, I've been quite a provider for the media. And now I'm asking for your help to reduce the suffering caused by drugs.
Hugh Rimmington, National 9 News, London.
Kim's off for a few weeks, so I'll be back in a moment with all the news in sport. We'll take a look at a possible lineup for the first test late next week and talk with a fast bowler who's about to take on his mates. Australia's test selectors meet on Sunday. They've got the difficult job of picking our side to play the West Indies. Although some leading players are struggling to find form, we're more likely to stick with experience than blood-new talent.
Although facing a Windies attack minus Walsh, Ambrose and Patterson, Australian 11 openers Matthew Hayden and Wayne Phillips batted well in Hobart, especially Hayden, with innings of 46 and 53.
Good shot and right through Richardson dives there.
But commentator Richie Benno believes the experienced David Boone should partner Mark Taylor in Brisbane.
I thought both Phillips and Hayden played pretty well, but I didn't think either of them did quite enough to move into a test situation at the moment.
Benno's Test 11 would have Alan Border batting at number 3, followed by Dean Jones, Steve Waugh and Damien Martin. Greg Matthews, Ian Healy, Craig McDermott, Bruce Reid and Merv Hughes complete his starting lineup. Benno says Steve Waugh's 95 and 100 not out against the Windies in Hobart gives him the edge over brother Mark.
I would have Steve in ahead of him at the moment. Man in form and useful bowler. They're both brilliant fielders. Not much between them, but Steve's the man I'd have in.
Fellow commentator Ian Chappell goes along with Benno's lineup in all but one position. He prefers Mark Waugh over Steve. Of course, the selectors will name a 12-man squad and have the option of including both. Benno and Chappell agree Greg Matthews' batting should give him the nod ahead of spinner Shane Warne.
I think the first test match up in Brisbane, where there's no enormous amount of spin, I think logic would decree that you'd go in with Matthews there.
Captain Alan Border doesn't envy the selectors' task.
Hopefully we can get it right because it is very important to start off well, and if the selectors are going to make changes, you know, we give these young players a real good chance to show what they can do. So
the Windies play their final lead-up against New South Wales starting Friday. David Peters, National 9 News.
We have a game starting in Adelaide on Friday as well. Our Sheffield Shield side takes on Tasmania in the battle between last year's cellar dwellers. The Tasmanians are here already, and among their new faces is one who's making an important return to Adelaide.
When South Australia played Tasmania here a year ago, it was one of only 2 games that Colin Miller played for the season. He fell dramatically from the selectors' favour after 4 years of solid service. Now he's back as a Tasmanian, selected to play against his old state in his first game for his new state. It's ironic that our former opening bowler is here, just as South Australia's in the midst of a bowling crisis. But he bears no grudges and is ready to forge a new future.
I'm here this weekend. I've got in the first game of the year, and if I can just be consistently pick up wickets for the team, you know, there's no reason why I can't cement my spot there for the next 2 or 3 years.
Miller has rediscovered his ability to swing the ball both ways, a talent he temporarily lost after playing in England.
I tend to try to bowl batters out rather than play for the edge. And I think I just concentrated for 6 months in England just trying to bowl straight rather than swing the ball. And I got back to Australia and I basically just forgot how to swing the ball.
But the English League experience has helped Miller's batting.
I made 100 last Saturday in club cricket in Tasmania. It's my first 100 in Australia. So that was quite pleasing. I also got 6 wickets in the game. yeah, things are going really well.
But things aren't going so well for Vinnie Jones, the tough man of English soccer. He's copped a record fine, $45,000, for taking part in a video highlighting the game's fouls and underhand tactics. The Wimbledon star was also given a 6-month suspended sentence. And in rugby union, brighter news for our Wallabies, with victory in their final lead-up match before the weekend test against Wales. Australia beat Monmouthshire 19-9. Tony Morabito, National 9 News.
Finances and the stock markets enjoyed a second day of gains. The All Ordinaries gained more than 10 points. Gold was down slightly. The Australian dollar made up some lost ground against the greenback. Well, the all-important Pittman report on our weather is next. Stay with us.
Hello. Well, not comfortable today, I think. 22.5, but humid. At least it was fine. Not so tomorrow. We're going to see showers, rain and thunderstorms developing again, and it's going to stay wet for the next few days. 22.5 was the maximum today, 2 below average, 16.8 the minimum. The state forecasts scattered showers and thunderstorms extending to most districts by tomorrow, then becoming areas of rain, local heavy falls, isolated stronger thundersqualls and hail, sultry with northerly winds strengthening. There's a severe thunderstorm warning for the west coast west of Ceduna and for the northeast and northwest pastoral districts. And the downy mildew warning continues. Around the state, for Mount Gambier, late showers and thunderstorms, top of 26, minimum 12. For Renmark, showers and thunderstorms developing, top of 34, minimum 18. Adelaide, 26 tomorrow. Metropolitan waters, northerlies freshening to 20 to 25 knots with a late southwesterly change and isolated stronger thunder squalls later. Now, on the cloud picture tonight, yesterday's rain, of course, has moved over here. We've had thunderstorms moving across the north. We've got another build-up with a low intensifying in this area and a front and more moisture coming in from the northwest. So it's setting up. Look at the other chart. This high will move on. This low is going to head rapidly by 9 o'clock tomorrow morning down near Port Lincoln. We'll have a freshening northerly. We'll have cloud building up. We'll have showers at first. That'll become rain, and then we'll get thunderstorms with possible squalls and even hail. And a 26-degree maximum tomorrow. A horrible sort of a day by the sound of it. Change coming through to put us in the southwesterly. And then on Friday, it'll be a southwest turning northwesterly with widespread rain, clearing later in the day towards the east, but leaving us in showers, and then a southwesterly with showers for Saturday. Around the continent, thunderstorms for Brisbane, Sydney, Darwin, Alice, showers for Melbourne, Hobart and Perth. Metropolitan area, showers early, becoming rain and thunderstorms, 15 overnight, 26 tomorrow. Friday, rain becoming showers. Saturday, showers easing, and then Sunday, hopefully, fine and mild in the low 20s. Well, there it is. Hopefully, Sunday will be a reasonable sort of a day. See you tomorrow.
Thanks, Baz. Well, the sun mightn't have been out much today, but that didn't stop the launching of Australia's first solar-powered boat. It's been built by students at Prince Alfred College and will soon embark on an arduous voyage down the Murray River.
From a distance, it looks like someone just forgot to put up the sails. But take a closer look and you'll see that this is one boat that was never meant to have any. The 10-metre-long catamaran is powered by a set of 4 solar panels, which provide enough energy to run 2 motors. Some top-secret electronics also help propel the boat, as well as storing power for overcast days like today. It's taken staff and students at PAC around a year to build at a cost of more than $50,000. But so far, everything's gone according to plan.
It's been remarkable. It's just fallen into place. It's been too good almost.
Understood to be the largest solar-powered boat in the world, it sails best with a crew of 5 and it doesn't make a sound.
It's very quiet. You can't hear anything. It's like very quite eerie actually on the river.
The catamaran will undergo its first real test in the summer holidays. That's when it will embark on a 2,000-kilometre trek down the River Murray, believed to be the longest journey of its type in the world. A team of 36 students will join in the expedition. It should take 3 to 4 weeks and will end at the Murray mouth around New Year. Georgina Thomas, National 9 News.
What a great idea. A boat like that have a big future, I think.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Even bigger versions of it.
We'll always have the sun. That's the news for tonight. Good to have you with us.
Now here's a current affair.